It's Wednesday the 28th of January. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel M's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. He's the country's most expensive footballer. Manchester City's Robinho denies doing anything wrong after he's questioned over allegations a teenager was attacked. Also coming up, knocked to the floor and kicked in the head. The police officer beaten up by Rangers fans speaks out for the first time.
Somehow or other I ended up being on the floor, being stamped, kicked. I remember holding my helmet on, and I knew if my helmet had come off then that would have been it, that would have been the end of me.
And what it means to be British. One of our own reporters goes through a citizenship ceremony.
I took the Life in the UK test, paid the substantial application form fee, sent off the tedious application form, and was eventually and thankfully accepted.
Good afternoon. First today, Robinho is denying doing anything wrong following tabloid claims a teenage student was sexually assaulted at a nightclub. The Manchester City player has been questioned by police. With more details from the club's training ground at Carrington, here's Beverly Walkton.
Robinho became Britain's most expensive football player when he signed at Eastlands for £32.5 million following City's takeover by Sheikh Mansour last September. Now, the club haven't confirmed the allegations, but the Brazilian spokesman has today said that he was questioned and arrested by officers over in West Yorkshire. They're investigating claims from an 18-year-old student that she was attacked inside a club in Leeds called Space. Now, the club itself is popular with soccer stars and holds around 800 people. Now, the story's been splashed across the Sun newspaper, the front page, in which it claims she says she was attacked in the VIP area of the club on January the 14th. The article says Robinho was in the city to have a night out with teammates. West Yorkshire police have confirmed that they've arrested and questioned a man on a sexual assault. Beverly Walkton for Channel M News.
Next, he was chased by a mob of Rangers fans, grappled to the floor and kicked in the head. PC John Goodwin has spoken out for the first time about his ordeal during the rioting in Manchester city centre last May. Ben Bland has the details.
Very scary. As I say, I really thought they were going to seriously injure me if I stayed there.
First tonight, it was the dramatic image for which Manchester's Night of Shame will be remembered. A police officer lying in the streets being attacked by football hooligans.
After last May's UEFA Cup final, it was these images, rather than the football itself, that made the headlines. But the thugs who attacked PC McRegan and went on a spree of destruction and violence across Manchester still haven't been found. Around 30 other officers were injured when some Rangers fans clashed with police in the streets. PC Goodwin's head injuries were so bad he was off work for 5 months.
Somehow or other I ended up being on the floor, being stamped, kicked. I remember holding my helmet on with my hand because while I was being stamped and kicked, some of this mob were trying to take my helmet off, and I knew if my helmet had come off then that would have been it, that would have been the end of me.
Around 150,000 Rangers fans descended on the city to watch their team play Zenit St Petersburg at the City of Manchester Stadium. The mood was pleasant until a big screen failed, and then things turned ugly, and they weren't helped by Rangers' 2-0 defeat. These are some of the 50 people who police believe to be responsible for the violence. It's taken detectives 9 months to go through 4,700 hours of CCTV footage to get these images.
A significant minority have caused this disorder, and those people need to be brought to book, both for Scottish football, for the reputation of Manchester, and for those police officers that have suffered this violence.
I now invite you to take a few minutes to look at the Greater Manchester Police website.
The appeal is going on YouTube, and Greater Manchester Police have also set up a website where people can look at the photos of the suspects and provide information to try and bring those who are behind that violence to justice. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
Well, police say they've had an extremely encouraging response to their new appeal. Thousands of people have so far logged on to look at the images of the people that they want to question, and 29 names have been suggested for them. British Transport Police say they're investigating violence that flared up at Piccadilly Station the weekend before last. Rival Oldham and Wigan fans were drinking in a bar there, and a confrontation developed, leading to one Wigan supporter getting assaulted. A 20-year-old man was arrested and has been released on bail. CCTV tapes are being checked out to work out who was involved. Detectives are trying to find a man who robbed a pub landlord in Salford by identifying the footprint he left on his forehead. Jonathan Robinson had his head stamped on by robbers who attacked him after he left the Golden Lion in Clifton, carrying £2,500 in takings. It's being treated as attempted murder. Shoe manufacturers have been contacted to try to work out the make of shoe involved. Skin experts in Salford say a so-called tan jab that's sold illegally is linked with rapidly changing moles. They've been studying two people who've injected melanotan at the same time as using sunbeds. The experts are warning it could confuse any diagnosis they get while having their skin checked out. We're waiting to hear the outcome of a hearing involving a nurse who says she was unfairly sacked after speaking to the media about NHS cuts. Karen Reisman is at an industrial tribunal where it's understood the two sides are close to finalising their agreement, though talks are still going on. It's expected most of the details of the deal between her and Manchester Mental Health and Social Care Trust will be kept secret. Demonstrators who staged a sit-in at the BBC's offices here in Manchester last night are hoping to meet bosses from there. The protesters are angry that the corporation refused to broadcast an emergency appeal to help people in Gaza by the Disasters Emergency Committee.
I'm outside the BBC in Manchester, where there has been an occupation by the people who are very concerned and very cross about the BBC's decision not to broadcast the emergency disaster appeal. And by now not showing the disaster appeal, we feel very let down as people who pay the licence. So we occupied the BBC. We actually filled the reception area and asked to see a manager. About half an hour we did see a manager, and we made an arrangement to have a meeting to say that we are very disappointed and upset because we all have such respect for the BBC, but they're losing it. My name is Alice Searle. I am not ashamed of this. I fight for liberty and fight for freedom wherever I am, and I'm so disappointed by the BBC's attitude.
A couple have been threatened at knife point in their own home. Three masked men forced their way into the property in Carrington, even though the owners had locked the doors. A struggle followed and a lodger at the house ended up with a head injury. The thieves stole jewellery and other personal items and may have escaped in a stolen silver Volvo, which was later found abandoned in Ashton-on-Mersey. New CCTV footage of a man with learning difficulties being robbed in Oldham last month has been released. Police have called the attack on the 34-year-old vicious. He was walking along Bow Street Passage between Yorkshire Street and Union Street when he was set upon by two men. They carried on even after a passerby tried to step in. The victim's bus pass, glasses and a small amount of cash were taken. Officers think those responsible had been lying in wait. Asda is to create 7,000 new jobs. The supermarket's planning to open 14 new stores and extend another 15 sites. Bosses say they'll be trying to recruit those who've been unemployed for long periods. Time now to take a look at the lunchtime sports headlines with the details. Here's Sam Goodman.
Thank you very much, James. Well, starting off, the Wigan manager Steve Bruce has accused Manchester City of disgusting behaviour following the transfer of midfielder Wilson Palacios. The Honduran signed for Tottenham for £14 million, but the former Manchester United captain is furious that the Blues simply used his player in a move to land striker Craig Bellamy. Wigan were close to keeping Palacios before City started showing what now seems to be false interest. Well, on to tonight, and Wigan are in action against Liverpool at the JJB, and manager Steve Bruce knows it's going to be tough.
Liverpool is Liverpool, and when they come to town, it's always a special occasion. They've got fantastic players and are making possibly their first challenge in 15 years, real sustained one. So we know what to expect. You know, we're now coming to the nitty-gritty of the season. You know, the back end of January going into February, we're approaching the run-in. You know, when it gets down to 10 games and the tickly bit starts, so looking forward to it.
Well, besides Wigan, there are more matches in the Premier League tonight. Bolton are in the Lancashire derby against Blackburn Rovers, and Manchester City host Newcastle at Eastlands. Craig Bellamy and Nigel de Jong could be handed their debuts, and City manager Mark Hughes is expecting a home win.
Difficult game for us. Obviously Newcastle will be coming to obviously address a little bit of lack of form in recent weeks, so they'll be looking to be positive, but we've been very good at home. We're 3 games unbeaten in the Premier League, so we're looking to add to that.
And the results from last night's fixtures. And in the Premier League, it was Manchester United who cruised past West Brom 5-0 to remain top of the league. Berbatov, Tevez, Vidic and Ronaldo were the scorers. And with that, the Reds have made a record 11 Premier League clean sheets. Absolutely fantastic. And in League One, it wasn't the best of nights. Oldham lost 2-0 to Scunthorpe, while Stockport moved down to 9th in the table after losing 2-1 to Tranmere. Ollie Johnson scoring a late consolation goal. In League Two, there were better results. Bury defeated Bradford 1-0. Macclesfield drew 0-0 with top of the league Wycombe, while Rochdale won 3-0 against Notts County. And after last night's victory, Bury remained 3rd in League Two. Manager Alan Knill remained silent on the club's hopes of promotion, but was pleased with re-signing a certain player.
We signed Andy Bishop today, whose the speculation has been that he may be moving, but he's decided to stay here, so we're all delighted with that. I can't see us bringing too many players in, and meanwhile we're playing as well as we are and competing as well as we are. I don't see any need to.
And finally, in cricket, former England coach Peter Moores is believed to be on the shortlist for the vacant coaching role at Lancashire. The former Sussex coach has been linked with the job ever since being sacked as the national team coach earlier this month. Well, that's all the sport from me for now. Join me again later this evening. I'll have all the build-up to this evening's Premier League matches.
Thank you very much for that, Sam. Still ahead on the Lunchtime News, we look at how much one of Manchester's biggest festivals costs us all, and becoming British. We've been to Sale Town Hall to see new citizens taking their oath to Queen and country, including one familiar face.
Loyalty to the United Kingdom. And respect its rights and freedoms.
You're watching the Lunchtime News here on Channel M. Welcome back. We're here till 1 o'clock, rounding up all the latest from Greater Manchester. Don't forget you can always log on to our website, channelm.co.uk. Plenty on there right now, including our undercover report looking at the all-you-can-drink deal at an Oldham nightclub for under £6 that's attracting criticism, and pictures from a big fire in Ancoats at a half-built block of flats. All that and more at channelm.co.uk. Let's return to our top story now, and the footballer Robinho has been questioned by police. They're investigating claims from an 18-year-old student that she was sexually assaulted at a nightclub in Leeds. He's put out a statement on his website denying doing anything wrong. Let's get the latest from the club's training ground at Carrington with Beverly Walkton.
Robinho became Britain's most expensive football player when he signed at Eastlands for £32.5 million following City's takeover by Sheikh Mansour last September. Now, the club haven't confirmed the allegations, but the Brazilian spokesman has today said that he was questioned and arrested by officers over in West Yorkshire. They're investigating claims from an 18-year-old student that she was attacked inside a club in Leeds called Space. Now, the club itself is popular with soccer stars and holds around 800 people. Now, the story's been splashed across the Sun newspaper, the front page, in which it claims she says she was attacked in the VIP area of the club on January the 14th. The article says Robinho was in the city to have a night out with teammates. West Yorkshire police have confirmed that they've arrested and questioned a man on a sexual assault. Beverly Walkton for Channel M News.
It's come out the Manchester International Festival will cost taxpayers here at least £2 million and possibly £500,000 more on top of that. The event, which promotes the very best of culture the city has to offer, will take place later on in the summer. Kevin Duffy's on this.
Can you tell what it is yet? That's right, it's £2.7 million. And that's the total amount which Manchester taxpayers could end up forking out to support the Manchester International Festival, which was launched a few days ago. The prestige arts event will be held in July this year and features several world premieres, including an opera called Prima Donna by American singer-songwriter Rufus Wainwright. Another event will see the Royal Exchange Theatre turned into an enormous bingo hall for a piece of work called Everyone Loves a Winner. Manchester City Council had originally limited its spending on the festival to £2.2 million, but in the last few days it's emerged that there is a sponsorship gap of around £500,000. As a result, councillors have said they're setting aside a further £500,000 just in case that sponsorship gap cannot be bridged. Despite the expense, culture seems to have united political foes over at Manchester Town Hall, where the Liberal Democrat opposition leader, Simon Ashley, believes it's a price worth paying.
We think that it's really important that in a recession you invest in the arts, you bring people to spend money in Manchester, and that's what this is. This is about reviving the Manchester economy, and that's why we're supporting the extra cash.
Of course, spending public money on supporting the arts is nothing new. It's gone on for a long time and it goes on everywhere. But in these difficult economic times, some people may well be asking, just how far should it go? Kevin Duffy for Channel M News.
Thanks, Kevin. And staying with that story, more help for the festival's been announced. Our sister newspaper, the Manchester Evening News, has been confirmed as one of the event's official media partners. Its online guide to going out, citylife.co.uk, will have details of everything that's happening in the run-up to the festival. 6 people have been arrested in Spain over a £426 million fraud on the London stock market. Spanish police have picked up the suspect in Madrid, Barcelona and Elche. An investigation's been going on for 4 years, dating back to allegations from 2003. The country's new most senior police officer says he's hugely proud. Sir Paul Stevenson's been appointed the new Metropolitan Police Commissioner. The 55-year-old replaces Sir Ian Blair, who resigned last October. He used to be Lancashire's Chief Constable and has also acted as Sir Ian Blair's deputy for the last 4 years, and says he understands the challenge that awaits him. Greater Manchester's new Metrolink trams are beginning to take shape at their production site in Austria. 40 of them will go into service in the autumn and be added to the network at the rate of 1 a month. As well as providing more seats for passengers on existing lines, they'll run on new lines being built to Oldham, Rochdale, Droylsden, Chorlton and Salford Quays. Figures show 9,000 people have been granted full citizenship at Manchester's Register Office in the last 4 years. Among them is our reporter, Georgia Calvin-Smith, who reports now on what it means to be British.
I first moved to England when I was just 8 from Trinidad, but 20 years later and I'm still not a citizen, mainly because of disorganisation. But that's all about to change. About 6 months ago, I got my act together, took the Life in the UK test, paid the substantial application form fee, sent off the tedious application form, and was eventually and thankfully accepted. And now, the only thing standing between me and becoming a bona fide Brit is the small matter of some formalities and pledging allegiance to Queen and country.
And respect its rights and freedoms.
If you're born Brit, you take it for granted, don't you? But I've known some of our citizens in tears when they gain their British citizenship. You know, there was one young lady who was genuinely upset by the fact that she'd been accepted into Britain. She was saying the greatest country in the world and all that. Now, to me, I was born in Britain, never really thought of it like that, but she really gave some thought to it.
Under the current system, you're only eligible to apply if you fulfill some very specific criteria, including having had at least 5 years of ordinary residence in the country. The system's already pretty rigorous, long-winded and expensive for would-be Brits. But the government's recently released plans to make the process even tougher by bringing in a series of new tests and even a period of probationary citizenship.
The question about whether we need to toughen up the system depends very much, I think, on what the people who are coming into this country bring with them.
It's an honor. It's everything. I'm lost of words.
To become British is a bigger commitment.
That moment was a very fantastic time. Absolutely. I can't forget it in all my life now.
And I think you are very happy as well, yeah, because your day as well.
Even though I'd initially seen this whole process as being nothing more than really a formality, because I can honestly say I spent the majority of my life feeling nothing else but British, I was really surprised at just how chuffed I was when it was made official. It was like coming home without even having left. Right, I'm off for some fish and chips.
Finally for now, if you want to increase the amount of milk you get from a cow, scientists have worked out how, and get this, you need to give it a name. Experts say ones that have been called things like Daisy or Ermintrude by their owners produce as much as 500 pints extra a year. They think it's because the ones with names are more likely to get special treatment than the others. Maybe it's posh grass or something, who knows. More on that with our reporter Ben Bland this evening, who's out right now at a dairy farm. Michelle Eagleton's here now to take a look at the weather forecast for us.
Well, it has been a bit of a mixed bag out there this morning, and this afternoon really is no different. You are going to have to kind of gauge it by looking out the window from time to time, because it really is, you don't know what you're going to get. You could get a little bit of rain, a bit of sunshine and also a bit of cloud. It's been cloudy mainly this morning, really. Some heavy cloud has dominated, and also we saw some fog this morning, but seeing temperatures are between 7 and 8. Those are your highs today. That's what we're expecting. And then as we go through the afternoon, probably going to see about 4 to 6 o'clock this afternoon, some brighter spells just creeping their way through. Unfortunately, they aren't going to stay with us too long, because by this evening, some of that heavy cloud is on its way back and bringing with it some heavy showers as well. Overnight, we should leave those showers, because by tomorrow, we are going to see a completely different picture. We're expecting lots of cloud on Thursday, but it is staying mainly dry. Friday and Saturday, as you can see, we're expecting a lot of heavy rain. And then Sunday, great news, sunshine, cloud and highs of 7 degrees.
This is Channel M's Lunchtime News. An update now on our top stories. Manchester City star Robinho is denying doing anything wrong after he was questioned by police. Officers from West Yorkshire are investigating claims an 18-year-old student was sexually assaulted at a nightclub in Leeds. He's been released on bail. 29 names have been given to police looking for rioters who brought chaos to Manchester City Centre last May on the night of the UEFA Cup final. Photos of 49 people they want to question have been put on a special website. And researchers here in Manchester say they're worried about a so-called tanning jab, which could cause moles on the skin to change rapidly. We'll have more on those stories in our early evening news with Andy Crane tonight from 5. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.